You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Tuesday afternoon, 67. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 44 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning and welcome into Tuesday, a little bit chilly Tuesday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to jump in on the show with us this morning. The X accounts at Locker Room 109 at Barry Sanderson and at Wimp Sanderson 1. If you want to email us, the email for the show, Wimp and Barry at yahoo.com. We're happy to respond to that, so you can shoot us that. Also, download the Tide 100.9 app. You can send us an app message throughout the show on the app. Some of them we read. Some of them yesterday were kind of ridiculous, so I didn't read some of those. But most of them we do, unless it's just outrageous. So download the app and send us an app message anytime throughout the show. Yellowwood pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer closest to you. We're going to build the 5-star, the fence, the deck, the pergola. There's only one choice. That would be Yellowwood. And always remember, guys, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Normal Tuesday, Kevin Skarbinski always joins us at 7:30 in the second hour. We'll take your phone calls. We'll take them here in the first 30 minutes as well. But the coaches had the press conferences yesterday. Nothing earth-shattering coming out of those press conferences, but we'll play some of that for you in the second hour. Good morning, Chase. How are you? Good morning, Dad. How are y'all this morning?
We're doing okay. I wanted to say to you that they have Basketball Media Day. It hasn't been announced very big. Kind of ridiculous, I thought, the way they've announced it, but be on television. I was supposed to go, but I don't know if I'll get there or not. I'll talk about that in just a second before I go over whatever else has been said, has happened in the league. Not a whole lot. The Yankees beat my Indians last night 5-2. I think they're a better team than Cleveland is. I hadn't seen Cleveland play that much, but the Yankees won that, and the Bills beat the Jets 23-20. So the new coach didn't win when they just walked in and fired the other one. I was glad the Bills won. And the Mets beat the Dodgers. The Gators have lost their quarterback, Graham Mertz, was injured and is out for the season, so continue to have trouble there. Tennessee lost their top defender for the rest of the season. He's captain of the team. He'll be lost, of course, for all the games this year. Big Ten, SEC are trying to study to see get a good schedule for television of those two leagues. Alabama will be on, the defensive coordinator will be on today and talk a little more Mark Warmack. And they're going to be playing a little bit, when they play South Florida, it's like playing Tennessee, so they've had a little taste of that. It'll be interesting to see how things go there. Alabama's got to improve the defense, he says, which we'll have a part of that in the second hour, I guess. So for today, I can't even tell you where it is. It's out near Mountain Brook. The SEC Media Day is coming in today. It will start at 9:00. Each coach will speak about 30 or 40 minutes. It looks like. I think they already had a preseason voting, I think, and Alabama's picked number one in the league, and Auburn is picked very high as well. But I think Alabama's picked number one. Kentucky was, I lost the rankings, but Kentucky was picked way down, about number 8. Anyway, today at 12:25, Bruce Pearl will have his press conference there. If you're interested in watching it on television or could go by there. And then Nate Oates will have his at 2:50. And it'll be on, I think it'll be on the SEC network if you want to watch that. If you're interested in getting into basketball this early, some are, some aren't. So that's about all I have. I've been going kind of circles, and that's about all I have this morning.
All right. Obviously, the big talk around here is the game up in Knoxville on at 2:30 on ABC. Tennessee started out with a pretty light schedule. NC State, not a very good team. They started out with Chattanooga, beat them 69-3. Then played NC State and Charlotte, won 51-10. Kent State is terrible. They beat them 71-0. Then they traveled to Oklahoma. Everybody wanted to see that. I think it was a decent game. Oklahoma has no offense. They could have beat them worse. Ends up beating them 25-15. Then they go to Arkansas and don't play very well offensively. Lose that game. Come home, Dad, and play Florida. In really kind of a back and forth game. They end up beating Florida 23-17. Now with Alabama coming up. Now, the cliches is that they were looking ahead to Alabama. They weren't as sharp against Florida. What kind of team do you think Tennessee is, and what kind of team will Alabama see? You'll get the best version of Tennessee. The crowd will be electric up there, obviously, with Alabama coming up. Last time Alabama played in there was probably one of the most embarrassing defensive performances that I've ever seen an Alabama team play. They went right up and down the field on Alabama. What type of Tennessee team you think Alabama will run into on Friday at 2:30?
I think this is one time that the home field advantage will really have affected the game. I think Tennessee will be ready to play, and I think they will continue to play. Sometimes you're ready to play and you let down. I think Tennessee will be very, very ready to play. Whether that makes a difference in the game or not, I have no idea. Tennessee gets 3 points in the game, which is a little bit of a shock to most people who've watched this game over the years. Tennessee is quarterback-wise, I don't think is as good as people say they are. I think actually Tennessee has done better and played better defensively, or as good defensively as they have offensively. So Alabama's running game needs to get going. Need to get a better job, do a better job defensively, which we will hear in the second hour. It's a game between two teams. To this point in time, I use that sentence, to this point in time have been very average or below. When they play each other, they'll be as high as they can get. And I think the home field is going to be important. As I had said earlier today, playing South Florida helps some because they've spread the field, they throw it a lot. It's a scary game for Alabama, and it's a scary game for Tennessee. One of the prognosticating things that came out today was that Alabama and Tennessee are out of the 12 by some group, CBS or somebody, and right now. But you go in and out, in and out. I would have guessed that the loser of this game probably is out of the 12, probably regardless. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. When you get to 12, these teams start beating each other up. Now Alabama would have that Vanderbilt loss really stinks, but for some reason they're not falling that far in the polls. I think it's almost like the NCAA tournament. Just win and advance. If you win, then they didn't move. They certainly didn't look like the 7th-ranked team the other day. Now, Jalen Milroe has had an incredible year. He's got great legs, but you start to wear. I think he starts to wear out a little bit. He just takes so many shots, and I didn't think he particularly passed the ball very well against South Carolina. They had some fast defensive linemen. They got to him. They sacked him. They had the safety in the end zone where he kind of backed up. He had what I thought were two pretty bad interceptions. One he threw right to the guy, and then the one that in the end zone, I mean, he floated it. If he'd have zipped it, he'd have gotten it. Do you think he's at all? I know his legs are great, but as this season wears on, I mean, these running backs going to have to help this guy out a little bit. The running game is not very good. If you take him out of it, do you sense maybe a little bit that he's lost his confidence passing the football a little bit?
I think he's gotten tackled a lot.
Yeah.
To put it in layman's terms, I think he's been tackled a lot. And when you get tackled a lot, you get sore and you get tired, and you're trying to take the football in at the goal line to score yourself instead of giving it to the running backs. The running backs, I think for Alabama, have great ability, but as Barry's mentioned, and I mentioned to some degree, they just don't become part of the game quite as much. The success that Alabama had with the long pass against Georgia and Ryan Williams has been talked about so much, and his abilities, that people are doubling on him. Where you're fixing to text Barry and say, you're disappointed in the way he's playing, he's getting doubled. And it's hard to get the football to him like it was earlier because of all the hype and stuff that's going on. So defensively, regardless of what some of our people say, I think in some cases they played pretty well defensively. They're playing an eyes defense, but what I mean is they try to read it with their eyes, which naturally you do, but they have not tackled it very well. I'm not here to talk about their defense particularly because I don't know. I think the defensive guy will talk about that today. So it's to me a long road to hoe for Alabama and Tennessee when you've got to go to LSU if you're Alabama. And you've got, a Tennessee team that could beat you, and you've lost, as Barry mentioned, to a Vanderbilt team that hurts you a lot with the committee. It's going to be tough.
The Bobby and Chase, you're welcome to chime in. One of the most disappointing positions to me this year, maybe we haven't run the ball enough. We never seem to stick with the running the football. Now, Jalen Milrose run the ball really well. He's run for 319 yards. Your leading rusher is Jam Miller with 51 carries. Tennessee's leading rusher, Dylan Sampson, has 118 carries. He's right at 700 yards, 699. Alabama's leading rusher is at 360 on 51 carries. But these guys, I think the guys that transferred out ran better than these guys have run this year. Now, is it that Alabama just doesn't run the ball enough? They don't stick with it enough. Sometimes they get stopped and they go right to passing the football. These guys got to help this quarterback out a little bit. This guy's having to run. He's having to do everything. And eventually, as you start going through these very physical games, that was a physical game on Saturday. You're going to have another physical game. Then you're going to have LSU and you got Missouri. These are physical contests. These running backs in this line got to step up and help this guy a little bit. I would say the running back position has been a bit disappointment this year. Whether they're not giving the ball enough or they're not performing, something's not right. Because I thought these two guys would have great years here. And that's why the older guys left, because they wanted to invest in these younger guys, and right now it hadn't happened.
No, it really hasn't. And I think you and I and the whole world has said, you can't win without a good quarterback. But I think sometimes you can almost overdo it. And I think with the quarterback Alabama has, you're almost coming close to overdoing it. The success that they had early with the pass, the winning that they had early with the pass to a great receiver, I think a little bit is put in the minds that that's the way to play. I think the running game could be pretty good. I'm not an offensive coordinator. I don't know much, and I have a lot of respect for the offensive people that do Alabama's job. So I'm not here to just a radio show, but you feel like that if Alabama could show the running game a little bit more, the passing game would be even better. And Milroe taking a lot of tackles is going to be a long season. You think about the season, if you were to get into the 12, how long this is going to be. And you're going to have to fight like a Dickens to get into the 12.
Yeah, this guy's he's taking a lot of shots. Yes, Chase.
I think the issue is we've seen like the running back core have success this season, but for some odd reason, Nick Sheridan is going away from the running game, and everybody's so focused on Jalen that they're already ready for the pass. So I think it's too much pressure on Jalen. And then, like I said, like this could be a top 10 offense, even top 5, if the running game was as potent as we know it can be. So I think it's just really frustrating that Jalen's taking these hits. And like you guys have said, they haven't even faced top defenses yet. Like we have Tennessee coming up. We have Oklahoma coming up. Missouri's pretty good. LSU's kind of finding their footing. So if we don't get this running game going soon, I'm afraid that Jalen's going to be in a position that we don't want to see.
Yeah, this kid needs some help. He can't do it all. And he's had to bail us out time and time again. And when you start playing as many games as the Alabama fans want you to play, if you're talking about getting in the playoff, and I don't know if Atlanta's possible or not, we'll see, then this guy's going to have some help, or you're just going to wear him completely out, because there's only one more just gimme game on the schedule, to be quite honest with you. So we'll see. All right, we'll take the first break here. 2-minute truck there at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go in preparation for your move. You get the boxes, the packing supplies, whatever you need to get everything ready. They can also come out and pack you as well if you'd like to do that. Whether it's local, out of town, out of state, moving is stressful. These guys will take all the stress away. Give them a call today for the free estimate. It's 205-247-5050. That is 2 men in a truck, movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. 32-year-old Tanisha Thomas and 20-year-old David Waller III have been charged with attempted murder in that early Sunday morning shooting that took place at Creekwood Village Apartments. The 31-year-old victim in the incident received life-threatening wounds and is in critical condition. The 2 suspects in the case are being held in the Tuscaloosa County Jail without bond. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, picking up a bit more volume on Skyland Boulevard as you travel in both directions between Hargrove and 2059. Also the same for McFarland at Lurleen Wallace, mostly on those eastbound lanes of McFarland, and Lurleen Wallace for you on the northbound lanes. Otherwise, the construction zones on 20.
Visit us now and save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Alabama fans are all over the world, and we are too. Download the Tide 100.9 app right now in the App Store and Google Play, and take the Crimson Tide everywhere you go.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Yellowwood pressure treated pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have a yellow tag on it, you don't want it. All right, the Yellowwood hotline. Hey, Philip, how are you, my man?
Morning. I'm doing good, y'all. Hope you're doing good today.
We're all right.
Good. I just wanted to give you a little information on third downs. Alabama's 30th in the nation on third down conversions. Tennessee's 41st. To give you a little bit more perspective, Vanderbilt's number 10 on third down conversions. And our upcoming opponent next week, Missouri, is number 12.
All right. What does that tell you?
What does that tell us?
Well, it tells me that I think this is a team that Alabama matches up with pretty good. I actually feel a lot better about the game. I'm not quite as down as a lot of the fans are about the South Carolina game. I think that Alabama got off to a pretty nice start, and they flubbed around and screwed up right before the end of the first half, and it nearly cost them. But it's a positive. They bounced back. They hung tough. They got some very timely turnovers, LT Overton's fumble recovery. And then, of course, the interception in the end zone. It's our second interception in the last 3 games to steal a victory. And I don't know if that's even ever happened in Alabama football history.
Well, you get scouted. You know, you've got a new coach and a new system, and when you get things, the longer you play, the more problems you can have because of the abilities of the defense. And I think that's something we don't understand. We expect them to be as good, after the defense has seen them as they have been to start with. In fact, that doesn't occur sometimes.
Yeah, Philip, we are 5-1, or Alabama's 5-1, but Milroe has done so much. But when you look at our running backs, Justice Haynes has rushed for 249 yards. Now, he had one rush where he broke a long run against somebody. I can't remember who it was. He ran for 85 yards. So you take that out of that 249, he hasn't been very productive. Jam Miller's got 360 yards, averaging about 7 yards a carry. So they need to get that guy the ball probably a little bit more. So the running game is not – without you take Milroe out, which, he's going to – these teams they play now athletically will be able maybe to shut him down. And then the receiving core, you take Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams out of that, the Dupree's being very good. But the wide receivers, you know how much the next Kobe Prentice has 8 catches. That's the next highest guy.
Yeah, that's right, Barry. That's a big concern I have. And plus, Alabama's beat up right there. You've got Prentice and Law are hurt, and now hopefully they're getting back to where they can return to action. But that's right, that was a strength, and now all of a sudden you've got guys having to run sprints just about every play, in Williams and Bernard and Henderson. So you're right, that's a big concern. But I think Alabama has got a secret weapon out there that they are not utilizing. I won't mention his name. Yet. I'll let you guys try to figure it out.
I'll tell you
but
what.
He's a guy I'm high on.
They better get him out.
You may be right because Vegas doesn't miss much, and Vegas giving Tennessee 3 points. Vegas didn't come in on a Turner truck.
But Barry, you talked me into it. I'll tell you who the secret weapon is.
All right.
And they're not utilizing his electric speed and his tenacity as a football player, because I think this guy's a straight baller, and he needs to be on the football field. I think he's a Travis Henry guy, and you can ask Gary Harris about it, and that's Mbakwe.
Well, he plays on the defensive side. Do you think they're going to put him on offense?
I think he should play some offense.
Yeah.
That don't mean that they'll move him from one
that
side.
Doesn't mean that means I'm wishing. That means I'm wishing.
Yeah, I think.
And I am wishing.
All right, so of course, Dad and I are we're the negative show. Everybody else always thinks Alabama's going to win every game, and but as you start getting more film out there now,
that's right.
Ryan Williams.
I just said that. It passed right over there, right over his eyes.
Ryan Williams is a guy now, they say, all right, this guy's not going to beat us anymore. He's won these other games. He's a great receiver, but we're going to give him a lot more attention. And this Jeremy Bernard, he's a good player. Thank God that he transferred, to be quite honest with you. He's
good.
He may be the best receiver. And what down was that when he scored that touchdown when everybody said he should have went down? Was that third down? Was it third down? Do you remember?
I believe it was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I was thinking maybe South Carolina just completely blew the coverage. You and I could have thrown football to him there. I'm not disrespecting, but right. I was wondering did South Carolina let him score there so they could get the ball back because they were afraid they were going to run the clock completely out. But if it was third down, probably not. But after those two guys, and then Dupree's done pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult, and Milroe's starting to. He didn't look as fast the other night. He's starting to wear down a little bit.
He's been tackled too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Milroe took a hard hit late in the game the other day too, and he was, to me, after that hit, he was a little bit slow getting going again. I think he got hurt, but he did recover and bounce back and threw that pass, and and finish the game. But he's a strong guy. But man, he takes a lot of hits. Yeah. Some of it may be self-induced.
Yeah, he just carried this team. Without him, but now the scout, the Moore's out there. They know this coordinator now a little bit better. And so we will see. Everybody talks about the defense, but the offense is going to have to. You have to score some points now up at Tennessee, and then Tennessee's got a good defense. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I realize I'm suffering from a flight of fancy, but I think we've got a Swiss Army knife on that team right now, that can make some things happen. And I wish they'd think about it. I just wish they'd think about it.
All right. Thank you, Phil.
Thank y'all.
All right, we'll get to break here and get Kevin in. You're listening to Tide 100.9. It is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, picking up a bit more volume on Skyland Boulevard as you travel in both directions between Hargrove and 2059. Also the same for McFarland at Lurleen Wallace, mostly on those eastbound lanes of McFarland, and Lurleen Wallace for you on the northbound lanes. Otherwise, the construction.
The Humana Honor Medicare Advantage Plan gives you $1,680 back each year in your Social Security check. Choose coverage that helps you keep more money in your pocket. Learn more at GetHumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. The Part B Give Back benefit pays part or all of your Part B premium, and the amount may change based on the amount you pay for Part B. Limitations and restrictions may apply. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Hey, don't miss being a part of the Sea of Crimson when the Tide hosts conference foes Auburn, LSU, and South Carolina. The new season tips off on November 4th.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful fall day today. The sky's sunny, the high 69. Clear, very cool tonight, the low 41. For tomorrow, sunny with a high at 62. And Thursday, a sunny day. We'll probably have some frost early Thursday morning. The high Thursday afternoon, 67. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 44 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I want to thank Yellowwood, who makes this 7 o'clock hour possible as you build that 5-star backyard. Go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer closer to you. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. All right, we get to the Yellowwood hotline. It joins us every Tuesday. You can watch him on CBS 42. They got a college football show, 6:30. Writer for the Birmingham Lead joins us every Tuesday, Kevin Skrabinski. Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Good morning, guys. On my way to SEC basketball media days here in Birmingham.
Why are they keeping it a secret, Kevin?
Well, maybe because it's not a fan event like football media days, and it's not an event like football media days. You know, there's not as much fanfare surrounding it. It is 2 days rather than 4 days. For example, every single men's coach with 2 players from his team will be there today. And then tomorrow, that's 16 teams, by the way, in this new look SEC. And then tomorrow it'll be all 16 women's head coaches plus 2 of their players.
I understand they've already voted, or at least the internet says Alabama's number 1 in the league, and Auburn's high up there too. The 2 best teams in the league are going to be Alabama and Arkansas. And I would say the the other third team, I hadn't studied it that much, would be Auburn. I think I'm sure Tennessee's going to be good, but your comments on you already pre-voted?
Yeah, we had. Well, they have a panel of media members, regional and national, that they asked to participate. I was part of that panel, and I had Alabama 1, Auburn 2. I think I had Florida 3 and Arkansas 4. I really like what Todd Golden's doing at Florida. I think they're going to be better than their preseason predictions. But I think Arkansas is going to be right there. Cal's got, I think, new energy, new scenery that can rejuvenate a guy. Plus, he's got talent. But I really think, though, and this is the first time, guys, that Alabama and Auburn, Alabama's number 2 in the preseason AP poll that came out yesterday. Auburn's number 11. This is the first time ever that those two schools have been the top 2 SEC teams in the preseason AP poll. That says a lot for where basketball is right now in the state and the perception of it.
Well, both teams got, I think Auburn got the toughest draw in the ACC Challenge. They go to Duke. Alabama plays at North Carolina. North Carolina's not going to be quite as good as Duke. Duke's going to be better than most people over there. So, they'll have a pretty quick look at them to see, kind of where they are there. Alabama has recruited some great players, according to, I don't know that much about who's who anymore, but certainly their personnel. Barry's seen them practice. He knows more about it than I do. And Auburn is going to be good again.
Yeah, they're loaded. All right, let's flip to football. Kevin, when you're coaching, there's certain teams you don't want to play after a loss. In all sports, certainly after a bad half, you're like, oh God, they're going to come out in the second half and they are going to be so ready. But you keep thinking Alabama after the second half of that Georgia game, man, they're going to come back. They're going to boat race Vanderbilt. Nope, got beat. You think after that Vanderbilt game, they are about to lay it on South Carolina. Nope. Not a very good first half. You said they're going to come out in the second half, Kevin, and they're going to put it to South Carolina. Nope. Does this coaching staff have this team's attention, Kevin?
I don't know if they do or they don't, but I will say there is an adjustment period that I think most of us just overlooked, if not outright ignored, when a new coaching staff comes in, especially when that staff has a different personality, when the head coach has a different personality, he's from a different age group. There's just so many different things, and it takes time. Every once in a while you see lightning in a bottle. You see Terry Bowden go 11-0 in his first season at Auburn. You see Gus Malzahn win the SEC, get to the national championship game in his first season at Auburn. But more often, that first season is a feeling out period. It's a weeding out period in some respects. And I think that's part of what we're seeing at Alabama is players getting to know coaches, coaches getting to know players, feeling comfortable with one another. Although I don't know anyone ever felt comfortable completely around Nick Saban, but maybe his players more than anyone, because he was the ultimate players coach despite his gruff exterior. So I think it's more of that. I don't think there's this massive disconnect between the players and the coaching staff. I just think it's part of the growing pains of making a coaching change.
Well, I don't totally agree. I think that you need to feel uncomfortable, not comfortable. From what I can gather, there's a little bit of a split there between being nice and other people thinking you need to be more difficult with them. I think inside the locker room they've got problems. I hope they don't, but I think you coach your own personality. He's a very good football coach, no doubt about it. But when you spend your time trash talking, I think you lose and that's nothing to most people, but you lose your thinking process, your ability to be as good as you need to be. I have always thought that your players need to be uncomfortable. But of course, that's just me, Barry.
Well, Kevin, comment on that. It is a different style of coaching, which is nothing wrong with it. He's been successful. But are these guys on edge when something's not going well? Do they get their attention? I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, you would think they're going to come back after all these things. You're going to see a fiery Alabama, and they are 5-1, so it's win in advance. But do you see it when you watch them play?
Do I see the sense of urgency, perhaps?
Yeah. Attention to detail.
Necessarily.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, and you know, and really, and I don't know, perhaps I didn't phrase my thought accurately when I said comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't mean that you feel like you can cut corners, that you're not going to be held accountable for your mistakes, for your effort or lack thereof. I think more of knowing what to expect from the coaching staff. And you are, if you're a returning player at Alabama, you expected certain things at certain times. After a win, after a loss, after a blowout, after a too close for comfort loss, you knew what to expect. And they are figuring out what to expect because they haven't been through all of these different experiences with Kalen DeBoer. And so I think that's a big part of it. Another part of it is, this is part of the difficulty if you're Alabama, whether it was Nick Saban or Kalen DeBoer, is the expectations are so high. And there was a great clip someone found from the 2014 season 10 years ago when Alabama lost to Ole Miss, came back the next week, slopped around, barely escaped Arkansas 14-13. And Nick Saban at his Monday press conference went off on the notion that people were unhappy because they didn't win by enough. They weren't impressive enough. They didn't live up to the standard that they set. And he said he was just happy that the players were happy that they won a football game, which was completely opposite of his general philosophy that you're playing to a standard, not to the scoreboard. But he felt in that case, obviously, that team needed some confidence, that team needed to be patted on the back rather than kicked in the tail after winning a road SEC game, even though it was against a very weak Arkansas team under Brett Bielema. So look, guys, there's 1,000 things that go into winning a football game. They made a lot of mistakes at the end of the first half. At the end of the second half, they were not well managed situations. Clock management, for one. They could have run more clock off on a number of snaps the last time they had the ball with the lead and not given South Carolina time to come back to almost tie the game. So there's a lot they've got to clean up. But I still wonder. I hear people say, man, Nick Saban left Kalen DeBoer the greatest collection of talent any coach has ever inherited. I think we get too married to the 24/7 composite rankings. And I went back and compared in my column yesterday, and I urge people to read this. The players that Nick Saban inherited from Mike Shula, and were they coached by the best coach ever? No, they were not. Did they have a lot of growing and learning to do? Yes, they did. However, in 2008, 2 years into Nick Saban's tenure, 17 of the 22 starters in the 2008 SEC championship game against Florida were signed and left behind for Nick Saban by Mike Shula, along with the place kicker, the punter, and the star return man, Javier Arenas. So the cupboard was not bare when Nick Saban got there. We got to stop saying that because that's just factually wrong.
Well, Mike Shula was much better than people. We won't get into that today, but I was somewhere there. That he was much better than people realize. But he was put into a tough situation there. So
yes, he was. And Alabama owes him a debt of gratitude for taking that job at a difficult time when they were on probation. Franchione had bolted because he couldn't handle the pressure, and Mike Price, we know about his shenanigans. So that was a very difficult situation. He stepped into it. It wasn't a great 4-year run. They did have a very good season in 2005, but they were not lacking talent when he left. Not even close to it.
The fans have to realize that a win is a win. and you need a win. And yes, South Carolina, was it pretty? Not particularly. Was it a win? Yes. And I think sometimes they've gotten to the point that they don't appreciate wins. And I think
it's how you won. Like I know Coach DeBoer said, well, we're finding ways to win. I don't think I would have phrased it that way. It looked like they were trying to find a way to lose, Kevin. They just kept making so many mistakes at the end of the first half. I'm a little bit different. People say they didn't have the hands team out there. I thought that onside kick was great. That ball was spinning. Like that guy kicked a great kick. So let's give South Carolina some credit for that, not blame Alabama. I mean, yeah, you got to try to recover the ball, but that was a perfect onside kick. But then
yes, it was.
Yeah, but then
that was brilliant.
Yeah, but then giving up the touchdown, I don't know. It was almost like they were finding a way to lose. They got to fix that. You go to Knoxville and you make all those mistakes, you have a chance to get run out of there, Kevin.
Yes. Well, Tennessee has issues of its own.
Sure.
It did everything but hand that game to Florida, and Florida bumbled it and handed it right back because I don't know who told Billy Napier that he's a good play caller as a head coach, but they lied to him. I mean, Florida had the best play caller as a head coach ever in Steve Spurrier. And I like Billy, but Billy may be the worst. And him not hiring a true offensive coordinator to run that offense, it may be the biggest reason for his undoing if he does get fired at the end of this year. Because they had so many possessions in the red zone they couldn't take advantage of. But look, Wimp, I thought your point was really good there. And this afflicts programs like Alabama that just expect to win every single game without being challenged, without being pushed, because they've done it so many times. But if you also look back at the last 4 or 5 years, there were a lot of close calls. Look back to last year, South Florida. The Arkansas team that went 1-7 in the SEC, I think Alabama beat them by 4. Let them back in the game in the second half. What else? Texas A&M fired its coach. That was a one-score game. Auburn, not a good football team. Mm-mm. Alabama needed Gravedigger at the end to win that. The last 2 times Alabama's gone to Auburn, Brian Harsin in 2021 and last year under Hugh Freeze, and they barely escaped with a victory both times. So the idea that Alabama under Nick Saban crushed every inferior team is, again, factually incorrect.
Yeah. Would you worry if you were the coaching staff? I think Milroe, good Lord, he's had to do everything for this team, and he's taken a lot of hits. It's a long season, man. They got some tough games coming up. This guy seems to be wearing down a little bit. I'm sure they're very cautious what they do with him in practice. But you got to run him because the running game is so bad without him running. The running backs are not doing very much. I don't know if it's them or the line. Do you worry about this kid wearing out, Kevin?
Well, I think that's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
And if there were a schematic question I had for the offensive coaching staff, it would be it'd be 2-part. It would be are you relying too much on making the big explosive play and not focusing enough on longer, time-consuming drives that keep your defense off the field and give them a chance to rest? And also, are you not giving your running backs enough touches? Because as a running back, often, you have to get into a groove. Now, I will say this, again, those are good running backs. I don't think they have a great running back. They don't have a Najee Harris. They don't have a Glenn Coffey who Mike Shula left behind for Nick Saban. Not to beat that point into the ground, but these guys are, again, good, not great. But I don't think they're getting enough touches. I think they're not emphasizing the next game I coach will be my first. But it seems to me like they could emphasize the running game a little more because it would help their defense, and their defense obviously is to me the major area of concern.
Yeah.
Is UAB coach going to stay or going to be fired?
Well, that's not an easy question to answer for a number of reasons, and I'll just give you a couple. One,
AD first.
They can't afford to pay his buyout.
Which is how much?
They got issues. Well, I'm trying to get a copy of the contract because I've seen different numbers. They're paying him $1.3 a year. He's got 3 years left after this year. So if the buyout's straight per year, that's about 3.9. They don't have that kind of money. So that's one issue. Two, you absolutely cannot let that athletics director hire another football coach, or probably any coach in any sport, given his track record. Because he could have hired, obviously, he could have retained Bryant Vincent. He could have hired Barry Odom, guys, who's doing rather well at UNLV. I was told Barry Odom was ready to come, but Mark Ingram decided he didn't want Barry Odom because he was, quote, too boring. Too boring. That's what he thought about Bill Clark, by the way. I don't know. Seems to me winning close games is better than getting beat by 30, an average of 30 points every week, and having no chance by the time you get to halftime. Maybe that's just me. So that's a twofold problem. And who's in charge? The president doesn't care about UAB football, let's be honest. He doesn't really care about UAB athletics. He shut it down. He shut down football 10 years ago. And I know their fans have some concerns that they're seeing breadcrumbs that seem similar. I'm not there yet in believing that, but it's just a mess. And they made a huge mistake hiring a guy with no experience who talked a great game. If you listen to Trent Dilfer talk, he sounds like one of the greatest coaches ever. The problem is he hired a staff with almost no experience, and you're seeing the results. So to me, I don't see this getting any better until they do make a coaching change, but when they're going to do that is not an easy decision, because who's making the decision and who really cares about UAB football and who's willing to step up and pay the money to make that change.
What direction is Auburn going?
The best thing for Auburn was not playing last week. So, and Alabama losing to Vandy and then struggling with South Carolina, UAB continuing to implode. So all the attention has been elsewhere in the state. Look, the schedule doesn't look as daunting. The next two games, road games, in October at Missouri, at Kentucky, doesn't look as daunting as we thought it was several weeks ago. There are games that if you play well, you can have a chance to win. I don't think there's any good reason to have a lot of confidence that Auburn will do that. And speaking of Kentucky, guys, did you realize, I saw this stat the other day, it blew my mind. In their last 12 home games in the SEC, they're 2-10.
What?
Yes. In Kentucky's last 12 SEC home games, they are 2-10.
Wow.
Think about that. And tell me again why Texas A&M wanted to hire Mark Stoops.
Yeah,
looks like they got the right guy.
Auburn's next three games at Missouri, at Kentucky, and little old Vandy. Yeah, they got a little old Vandy coming.
Diego Pavia. Yeah. Diego Pavia returns to the scene of the crime, where he embarrassed Auburn last year with New Mexico State. Yeah, they could lose the next three.
Certainly.
And I don't know what happens then. And then all of a sudden, this highly touted recruiting class, are all those commitments going to stay? I don't know. But if things go really, really wrong, and that is certainly possible, then they're going to be in a very, very difficult position.
Yeah. Well, they could win all three of those as well.
They could win. Exactly. That's the issue, is they've been in position, well, except for Georgia. They were not going to. You never thought for a second they were going to win that Georgia game.
No.
And Georgia didn't, speaking to bring this conversation full circle, Georgia didn't come out and do to Auburn what a lot of people thought they would after losing to Alabama and then having that big comeback. People thought Georgia might take out its frustration, its anger on Auburn, and they beat them by 18, which was very routine. No one was surprised, which is part of Auburn's problem, is no one's surprised when they lose to a big rival by 18 points and are never really in the game in the fourth quarter.
Sounds like to me, Kevin, you put Alabama aside, it's a basketball state right now. Not football.
I don't see two teams from the state of Alabama in the top 11 in the current AP football poll. I don't see, and by the way, UAB is picked to win the American Athletic Conference. they've got the preseason player of the year, in Yaxel Lindeborg. Go see him if you get a chance. That dude is real. Andy Kennedy's got his best team there, and he's done pretty well since he's been there. Sanford will be a contender in the SoCon again. I think they're picked a little low. I think they're picked third. And like I said, Alabama Auburn have never been 1-2 out of the SEC in the preseason SEC poll before. So there's a lot of reasons to get really excited about this basketball season.
Yeah. Great stuff, Kevin. Enjoy the day over there. Who's up? What time does that thing start today?
I think it tips off at 9. It's going to be the fastest 40 minutes of hell all day long, because they rotate in coaches get like 20 minutes, and then they do players for 20 minutes, and they don't go coach and players from the same team. They just into the main media room. It's a little confusing. I've got to write a blog post, a running blog post on every team today. So after tomorrow, I'm probably going to go into a cave for a couple of days before Saturday to recover. But it's fun. There's no place else I'd rather be today than talking hoops with all the SEC coaches, and then guys like John Brady will be hanging around.
Is that going
Some
to
of
be
the guys
at,
from the SEC now.
Tell me where is that going to be where it was last year?
Yeah, the Grand Bohemian in Mountain Brook. Very nice boutique hotel.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, right there. So they've got a great setup there. Except the only problem is, for writers like me, the SEC Network guys will be in the same big ballroom yucking it up in the back with all their coaching buddies while we're trying to talk to players and such. So those guys could tone it down a little bit. Dari Noka, please, tone it down.
There you go. All right. Tell everybody where they can find you, Kevin. Find all your stuff.
Yeah, best thing to do, follow me on Twitter/X at Kevin Skarbinski. Read my 2 columns a week in the Birmingham Lead. You can subscribe to that, Birmingham Lead, LEDE.com. Subscribe to that publication. My Saturday show with Scott Griffin on CBS 42 at 6:30. It's College Football Saturday. A lot of fun conversation on football there, live every week. So hope everybody will watch and read. And then on the SECSports.com website, you can read my SEC basketball blogs today and tomorrow.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
All right. Sounds like he's taking up for DeBoer, which is fine. He should.
Well, I'm taking up for him too. I just think you should tickle to win.
Yeah.
But again, you try to. I think your team needs to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I just keep thinking they're going to come back, and after that Vandy, like I said, that Georgia second half, they're going to come back and kill Vandy. Didn't happen. After that Vandy, they're going to come back and crush South Carolina. Didn't happen. And so we'll see.
I'll take this call.
We'll see what this is. All right, we'll take this top of the hour break. Listen to Tide 100.9. I want to thank Yellowwood. They made this 7 o'clock hour, possibly did it for us again, Chase. So go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer closest to you. And remember, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Phone lines will be open 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Not dealing with any severe delays in the area. It is still a quiet ride and quite ideal travels around the area. You're looking at stoplight delays only on McFarland on the eastbound lanes to Lurleen-Wallace. 69 southbound onto McFarland. That is a little on the slow roll, but again, it's just the stoplight red, and once it's green, you go. On McFarland up between 15th and 2059, you're on and off the brakes. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
Week 6 in the NFL came to a close with Monday Night Football in New Jersey, an AFC East battle as the Bills edged the Jets 23-20. Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen had 3 touchdowns, 2 passing and 1 rushing. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers had a pair of touchdown passes, including a 52-yard Hail Mary to end the first half, but a late interception that sealed the loss. Tyler Bassett, a 22-yard field goal for the only scoring in the fourth quarter to break a 20-20 tie. Buffalo's 4-2 with the win. New York 2-4 with the loss as they dropped their first game since the firing of head coach Robert Saleh. Postseason baseball Game 2 National League Championship Series. Mets over the Dodgers 7-3. Mets scored 5 runs in the second inning. Matt Vientos had a grand slam home run. Francisco Lindor added a solo shot. That series is tied at 1-1. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series saw the Yankees.
Business, Tuscaloosa Tractor has great deals and financing programs on Kubota equipment to fit your budget. Tuscaloosa Tractor, Skyland Boulevard East. Don't you buy no ugly tractor.
Inside the locker room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Appreciate Kevin Skarbinski who joins. All the interviews we have are up on the podcast center, so you can go back and pull those anytime you miss them. We want to thank Allstate Insurance agent Andrew Kniffer as we kick off this 8 o'clock hour. Andrew's my agent. Let him become yours. He's out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Give he and his staff a call. They will get you set up, home, life, auto, whatever you need. 205-722-9201. All right, we'll get to the Andrew Kniffer hotline. We'll get Joe into the show. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hey. Well,
yeah,
it's Tennessee week.
Yeah.
That's
it's
what
Tennessee
we always
week.
called it, didn't we? Tennessee week.
Third, always the third game in October usually. I don't know what.
Yep.
I don't know when it is now, but a little bit surprising, maybe for me a little bit, that Alabama was going in as a 3-point favorite.
You surprised Alabama's 2.5-point favorite?
I would have to have I'd have to have it pick 'em or one. I can't see that. I just can't see that. I hope it's right. But the interesting thing to me is this is going to be the fastest, probably the best defense we play all season. And I just want to see how many points we can score on this defense. That's what I want to see. Of course, it's going to be a great game. It usually is. So, and I hope we're down to the point now, and y'all know this. We're middle way. It's all about injuries the rest of the way. Injuries and your depth and how you can get through it. Because, boy, every week now, somebody's getting hurt for the season or hurt for the, indefinitely, whatever the scenario is. It's the way it's working out. But do y'all love the parity like I do?
Yeah. You just never know each week. I mean, actually, when you think, whatever you think is going to happen, the opposite seems to happen, Joe.
Right.
And when talking about Tennessee, I would say Josh Heupel, since he's been there, he's changed the mindset there versus Alabama. They played Alabama great in here last year. We know what happened 2 years ago, where I think in the past, maybe before he got there, they didn't really think they could win. That's changed, hasn't it, Joe?
It has, and I tell you, his coaching has changed this year. He's got a defense now, and he has gotten so far. Now, he may not be this weekend. He's gotten real conservative. He's running the ball so much more. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I really am.
I think he's playing through his defense, and playing through his which may be a strength, and you don't think that when you think of a Josh Heupel team. His quarterback's only thrown 7 touchdowns, and they played some bad teams early, Joe.
Oh, yes. But he just hadn't had the ring. I mean, he's not rolling him out. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's been holding back for us because he knew he could beat Florida, and he thought he could beat Arkansas. He almost did, but it got away from him with that 5-year substitute quarterback come in and did what he did. And, gosh, look what the backup quarterback did at Mississippi State. They lost their quarterback a week and a half ago. He goes into Athens and scores 31 points on Georgia.
You're being kind of quiet.
Like I told you.
You're being kind of quiet, Joe, about LSU right now. You're usually picking on me about LSU. They just beat your savior, Lane Kiffin.
Well, they hadn't played nobody till last week. They only lost. I hadn't played for 2 games.
They won at South Carolina. They won at South Carolina's hard to beat over there. You saw that Saturday.
Yeah, barely. Oh gosh, that game Saturday. Oh man, I've never seen an Alabama game like that since Mike Chula. But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm not down on them. They're still exciting to watch, and they're struggling. They got to just get it together on defense, and we just don't have any D linemen, guys. We do not have any D linemen. That's what I see. I don't know what y'all see, but I just don't see it. Now, when we blitzed them there at the end, we pulled it out. And we're going to have to start blitzing more. That's all there is to it. We're going to have to.
Joe, I thought those running backs transferred because the young guys were so good. Are we not giving these running backs enough opportunities? These guys have not played as well maybe as the guys that transferred. People say, well, they don't run the ball enough to get them in rhythm. But, I mean, Milroe's going to be worn out by the time season's over. This poor guy's having to do everything. What's going on with the running game, Joe?
I don't know. I'm impressed with the backs, how hard they run, especially Miller. I think it's 26. But thing about it, too, Barry, you just said something right there with Milroe. You know, Hurts got hurt against Tennessee, and Tua got hurt against Tennessee. It's such a physical game. And like I said earlier, the injuries, they're going to start coming more and more. But, yeah, I think we can run. I don't know if we can run on Tennessee, but I think we can run. Like I said, I think this is the best defense. They're so fast and lean. Tennessee's defense is. They just do a good job. They really do. Nobody's the most points scored on them has been Arkansas, and that was it.
Yeah.
He turned it back against Oklahoma. He turned it back against Arkansas, and he turned it back against Florida, and it almost cost him. He kept running the ball so much. But anyway, it's going to be wide open, and I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, Wimp's looking great with Texas, isn't he?
Why are you seeing him? I was one picking Texas.
Oh, I picked Texas.
I thought Wimp said way back, Barry.
We both did because we looked at their schedule.
I ain't going to get no credit, Joe. You can forget that.
Joe, we looked at their schedule, and they're good, and then they got a great schedule. So,
well, Barry,
who's shocked?
Get the trophy out, Joe.
Everybody got so mad. They were like, but we were picking Texas. Nick Saban didn't even pick Texas. Did he look at the schedule?
This conversation happened way back in the summer when I was procrastinating. I was making my picks, of course. And then Wimp says Texas is going undefeated. I said Georgia was going to lose at least 2 games, if not 3. And you said, I asked you, is LSU going 10-2? And you said yes, no worse than 10-2. So that's the 3 things I'm looking at right now. And
so I'm the genius.
Yeah.
They're 5-1 right now. So this tough. They got a tough stretch here, though. Joe, LSU. LSU.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen their next 3 games? Have you seen their next 3 games? At Arkansas, at Texas A&M, Alabama at home, and then they got to go to Florida. They got Vandy at home, and then they got Oklahoma at home. But
now,
Arkansas, A&M, and Alabama right in a row. That's pretty tough.
Well, it's time to play somebody when you hadn't played nobody. Hey, now just tell me this: are y'all surprised by Oklahoma?
No.
What would you be surprised?
Remember what I told you about Oklahoma? Everybody was talking about we got to play Oklahoma before we play Auburn. I said by the end of the season, it'll be a train wreck at Oklahoma.
The coach of the year in the SEC is at A&M.
I think he's at Vandy, Will.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he's at A&M.
And, that's what got me, Will. I told you to take them against Notre Dame. And then they just look so awful in that game, but they've come on back now. He is a good coach. And gosh, if A&M would have just went on and fired Jimbo a year earlier.
Well, he did a real good job. The guy at Vanderbilt did a great job of swallowing his ego and bringing in the quarterback and the offensive coordinator and the head coach. pretty good.
That's it, Wimp.
Yeah,
You got
but
it.
he said that Vanderbilt wasn't going to be able to utilize the transfer portal because the academics were too tough.
That's what I thought.
Joe?
Well, he's done a good job so far.
I think he came in and took spelling.
Hey,
They loosened up the admission requirements, Joe.
And don't forget his running back. His running back is from Austin, Texas, and he is leading the SEC in yards after contact. Still, he was leading going into our game, and he's still leading that stat. He went in there and got a 2-star or a 3-star or whatever he was out of Austin, Texas. And, you know, those kids out there are preparing for football after high school. And if you go out there and get those kids, they can get into Vandy. But his problem is going to be keeping him. You know, 2 years ago, Kentucky went down there and stole his running back that led the SEC in rushing.
Who's the best coach? Who's the best coach in college football right now, Joe? Tom? I called you Joe. No, Joe. Yeah, Tom Holdy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who's the best coach in college football right now?
You're probably going to say Sarkisian because of his record and because of what he's done.
Yeah.
That's it. And you got to go off what's happened this year. If you're going to go off what's happened this year, that's it. He is the best coach right now.
Yeah, he is. Joe, Alabama going.
Numbers don't lie. But liars change numbers.
Give me a score, Alabama, Tennessee.
I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Got a score?
Yeah. 24-21.
24-21. Do they rush the field? Or are they expected to beat Alabama now?
No, yeah, they expect to beat Alabama.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank y'all.
All right, back up to the Yellowwood hotline. What's up, Tom?
Morning, Barry. Morning, Coach. How are y'all?
We're good.
I'm fair.
You know, Philip called in, and I really enjoy his calls. He works the numbers really well. And but he brought up some stats that third down conversions for Alabama and Tennessee, this, that, and the other. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. It's the conversions that we give up on third and fourth down has been our problem. And it started in the second half of the Georgia game that we couldn't stop anybody. They would go for it on fourth down because Coach Smart said, you know what, if we're going to win this game, we got to keep the ball. And they did.
Yeah.
And so everybody sees that, and they see that defense can't stop running water. And so, therefore, that's the third down conversions that everybody that I know is worried about. And because we can't stop anybody. We'll have to score 1,000 points to beat Tennessee.
You know, when you get stats, I can look at stats and I can turn them around and make them say anything I want them to say, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, sometimes they'll tell you some things, obviously, but, yeah, you're right. Third and fourth down, not good for Alabama.
No, it's our defense, Barry. And Joe has finally come around to admitting that our defensive line, we don't have any, but except for the fact that we signed all 5 stars. Don't consider that. Don't consider that. Everybody across there is 5 stars. Okay, so but that don't count. That don't count. And what counts is we can't stop a flipping nobody.
You think Alabama?
We couldn't stop South Carolina either.
You worried about what's wrong with Alabama's running game? You take Milroe out.
Well, I think that we're running RPOs and that Jalen is keeping it.
Okay.
A lot of times he's making the read to keep the ball. That's part of it. The other part is Kevin brought up something that I've been thinking that I think is very interesting, and that is the short pass that are, you know, where you build a drive and you just, it's not quick strike, but you throw short passes and nobody runs in the middle of defenses anymore, except the teams that we're playing. They run on our defense, but everybody else, they don't run in the middle. And what we need to do is hit some swing passes to these running backs, get them in space, and let them do their thing. And it also helps Jalen get a rhythm going for these drives that we need. And somebody brought up this morning that, rest the defense a little bit. And those kind of things like that. But we quick strike everybody. I mean, we can hit it, real quick.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen up there, Tom? You don't sound real optimistic.
I have no confidence in our defense. If we had a little bit of defense, I got confidence in the offense. I have no confidence in this defense. Is it any way that you tell me where I'm wrong here?
Dad?
Get me off the cliff.
Dad, he's worried about the defensive line.
Yeah, I think it's more of a read defense. I think sometimes I don't know. I don't think that. I think
it's not a result defense.
Well, they're more on alignment than they are on tackling.
Yeah, they're on something.
Yeah, I don't know.
They like to talk when they tackle.
They sure do. I tell you what, we made a play there Saturday, and you would have thought we won the national championship.
The guy threw his helmet, Devontae. He threw his helmet on the sideline.
And it bounced up so high like it went over the fence.
Over a third down tackle.
I know. And you would think, oh, my Lord, have these people ever been out of the house before? And it's just, it's amazing to me.
But I guess you look at it I've talked about the South Carolina fans, and they were distraught about losing, but they were so happy how their team kind of played. They don't know what to be. Well, they're 1-3, and we're about to jump off a cliff here, and we're 5-1. I guess Dad's word comes back to you. Expectations, I guess.
That's exactly right. And I'm bit by it worse than anybody.
Yeah, so anyway.
See y'all. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Barry, let me do the Bryant ad, please.
All right, do it.
The Bryant ad, it's not really an ad, but it's Barry and I believe in Bryant Bank. Bryant Bank is here in Birmingham where I trade and been there a long time, and of course in Tuscaloosa and throughout the area. Down in Columbiana, very nice bank there, and down in the Gulf Shores. So I hope you'll go by there and tell them you heard it on Inside the Locker Room and take out an account, whether it be a personal or private account or a business account. I think you're going to find these people at Bryant Bank will do a really good job in being darn sure that everything is taken care of and everything is in your favor. I've worked with them a long time, been involved with them because I've done some things for my kids. And I think you'll find that they're very, very good. So take a look at Bryant Bank and tell them that you heard it Inside the Locker Room.
All right. App messages. Yesterday, Chase, GE, I don't know who GE is. Where's Carrollton?
That's right down. It's not very far from you.
All right. Well, he said, or she, whoever GE is, said, this is the worst show on air. Laugh out loud. Going to turn to Jocks and then didn't finish. And then today he just sent us a message, or she. So I guess he didn't turn it because he sent another message. Another significant truth that people aren't. No, that's not him. The QB could hand the ball off more than he does. And Bama won. I know talking heads love to coach from afar. Maybe they should try to coach in today's new era. So GE. I guess he didn't. Maybe he turned it yesterday, but he turned it back. But couch coaches. So we need to get some new. Anyway, we're just trying to. He didn't say it about us, but I guess Milroe could, if it's RPOs, he could let the running back have it a little bit. Anyway, we'll take the break. Phone lines are open too.
Tell him to take that knob and turn it to the left.
Well, that's what he said yesterday, but then he's commenting today. Another South Carolina SLC Bama girl out in Salt Lake City, Dad said, another significant truth that people aren't talking about enough is the SEC is more competitive The talent is more spread out, true, than ever before. Vandy and South Carolina are both incredibly well-coached teams with a ton of talent. Any win in the SEC is a great win in this new landscape. SLC, Bama Girl, I agree with you. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We went looking for some trouble and found it. First in Northport on McFarland Boulevard, eastbound at Fayette Highway. You do have a crash knocking out that left lane. And we got some major heavies on 2059. Now, this moving in that westbound direction.
And high quality ingredients. We want to say, that sounds great. We've been doing that since 1974.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Everwood, the official treated lumber of Alabama athletics. Everwood, wood treated right. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. To start Tennessee week, Alabama football head coach Kalen DeBoer met with the media.
Good morning, and just rolling from South Carolina to Tennessee. Guys start the week, as we always do with Sunday, and just, bringing a good mindset, putting the work into the workouts, wanting to, continue to always learn and get better from the things that happen on a Saturday. And, a lot of highlights, obviously a lot of things that we always got to continue to clean up. And it's in all phases of the game. But, moving to Tennessee, we know we're really looking forward to, exciting. Obviously, this game is a big deal to fans and obviously to us, and we understand that's the case for them as well. So looking forward to a really, high level, heightened, week with preparation and a big game on Saturday.
I'll have more in a moment.
Producing championship quality lumber is not an easy process, but at Everwood Preserving, it's our only process. Wood treated right. Everwood offers top-notch pressure-treated wood for decks, outdoor structures, commercial jobs, and more that you can build your reputation on. When it comes to quality, we're on the winning team. Visit your local Everwood dealer today and discover the difference for yourself. Everwood Preserving Incorporated, the official lumber of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Join us this afternoon for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Everwood. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. TuscaloosaToyota.com. Great special going on right now. Buy 3 tires, get the 4th tire for $1. I'll tell you what, Chase, you buy those 3, I'll buy you that 4th tire there. But great deal out at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You go to the website, TuscaloosaToyota.com. Look at the new inventory, pre-owned. You can schedule a service right there at the website. Also, you can rent a Toyota. Great thing to do is rent one and try it out. Also, if you need to order a part, do it all right there on the website. Or swing by 3325 Skyland Boulevard and see Justin and David and tell them that Wimp and Barry sent you. Got an app message here from Josh over in Northport. Josh is a great listener. Sends us a lot of great app messages, Dad. Josh says, money and envy of 18 to 21-year-old men will be the death of Alabama football. Look at Army and Navy, smaller schools with athletes that are there for the right reasons. Those schools will succeed in the future because they will not break their team up over the almighty dollar. That is Josh from Northport. I heard Wake Forest's coach was talking about the NIL and, talking about, having to pay the players you got. But if you bring in a transfer and you pay him more than the guys in the locker room, how it's very difficult to manage the locker room nowadays. And he was actually bragging on Dabo Swinney and how he is running his program and that he really believes in that, and that's what he's doing. there. But you see, Army and Navy are both 6-0. Army, Navy is 5-0. So pretty disciplined football teams there. The guys may be there for the right reasons. What do you have to say about that? These guys aren't going to win the national championship, but I do think these guys probably win more than they should because of it.
I think the winner of the Army-Navy game gets in the top 12.
Really?
Yes, I do. I think that committee wants to show America's America, and I think both of them are going in with very fine records, very fine teams, I think the one that wins that game, unless they have lost. Let me put it a different way. I think that one of the two teams, regardless of who, I think one of those two teams will be in the final.
Well, the committee has no say on that one. The top team outside the Power Four or whatever, the highest ranked team gets that 12th spot. So they may end up being the 12th team there to get in. So, and they're right now, Navy is ranked 25 and Army is currently ranked 23. But both teams are undefeated. Pittsburgh's still undefeated, but they haven't climbed. They're 20. Indiana, that coach there used to be here with Nick Saban. I got a friend that says he should be the next coach at Alabama. They're sitting here at 6-0. BYU 6-0. Iowa State, did you know that they were 6? They're 6-0. Miami 6-0. Penn State 6-0. Oregon and Texas are all still undefeated. So we got several undefeated teams still left. All right, get to the Yellowwood hotline. Bring Tony in. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Tony.
I've heard, you asked the question if there's, what's going on with the run game. And Barry, I have to agree with some of the calls. I don't think it's a priority for the running backs right now. And I don't know, it is the RPO. And I do think Milroe could give the ball a little bit more than he does. There's been a couple of times he's misread it, especially on the outside, what we would call a perimeter run, with a speed sweep, there's a couple of times he should have given that. Instead, he's kept it and gotten eaten up in the backfield. But, I heard
a guy yesterday. I heard a guy yesterday, and football, so you help me, said that the guys have got to wait a second, maybe make a juke, give the lineman a time to get the hole open. They're trying to hit the hole so quick, it's not there yet. They got to be a little bit more patient.
100%. He is correct. You got to have the best running backs have a lot of things, but in my opinion, number one thing that makes a great running back is vision and patience. And if you have that vision, they need to know the game and see. Guys, when you have a lot of what you would call zone blocking, Mark Ingram was great at this. It would be zone right, zone left. That tells you the ball is going to the left of the center or the right of the center. There is, in zone blocking, there's no holes like a 2 or 4 or 6. So the running back then has to read what the line's going to do, and then they pick their hole, whichever comes open first. If you don't have that kind of patience and that vision, it's not for you. The old school, hey, run to the 2 hole between the guard and the center, and that's where you're going. And that's what we would call man blocking or whatever, other terminology people use. But I think that we have the running backs, and I will say 22 is probably more guilty of this than Miller is. If it's clogged up, they have, because they're hitting it too hard, not letting it develop, they have a tendency to bounce out right into the end. Who's getting tackled for a no gain or right at the line of scrimmage, whatever the case may be. But there are times we've bounced it out a little bit too quick. And I think there are times we've missed the hole, just flat out missed it. I know we did against South Carolina a couple of times. But there are times, too, now Milroe has to hand the ball off instead of pulling it. Guys, I think he gets in this mode where he thinks he has to do everything. He doesn't. He's got players around him, But what can't happen with Milroe and what I'm a little concerned with is that when he gets pressure at him for multiple points, he still has a bad tendency not to step up into the pocket. He rolls into the defense, and he's still a one-read quarterback when that pressure is on him. In other words, he's not coming off that first read, and he's going to throw it. And, Barry, you're exactly right. When he threw that interception in the end zone, that ball was thrown off his back foot.
Yeah,
it had too much weight. He did not step into that, and I didn't think he had a lot of pressure on him. He saw the blitz a little bit, threw it up, and threw it off his back foot. That's something you can't do. And obviously, I'm not blaming anything on him. We won the game. But I do not know. Right now, we haven't stopped a lot of people on defense, and I'm concerned with Tennessee's downhill run game. Guys, football, like I told you, football hadn't changed a lot. Philosophy on football has. The teams that run the ball well and that are balanced on offense, and I don't mean 20 runs versus 20 passes. I mean a team that can run it down your throat and pass it when they want to. That's the teams you got to worry about. And right now, Tennessee's struggling because of their freshman quarterback a little bit. But if you can stop Tennessee's run, I think you can get them. I'm not so sure we can. And that's what I've been seeing. You know, if we know they're going to run it, it's one thing. But if they can establish a run game and then start throwing it, we're in trouble. If we can take away one asset of their game, it needs to be the rush game for them.
You know,
and make him beat us with his arm.
These guys, you know, Derrick Henry was a guy that had multiple carries, and then he would get in his rhythm. He'd get going. I almost equate our running backs. It's almost like a substitute in basketball. You put him in, and he makes a mistake, and you take him out. You know, he's not comfortable. Do these guys get comfortable? They don't get enough carries to get comfortable, do they, Tony?
No, I think I read somewhere where they had a combined, and I may be wrong on this stat. I think they were combined 15 carries against Vanderbilt, 15.
Yeah.
And I looked it up. Jam Miller only has 51 attempts right now, rushing attempts. Derrick Henry had 31 in one game against Auburn in 2015. Yeah, you have to get them going. You have to get them comfortable, see how the defensive lines play, and get adjusted to the speed. And that's where their patience and their vision comes from as well. And if you don't do it enough, guys, you're not going to be good at it. And it goes back to what we talked about, a week ago. If Alabama wants to be good at tackling, you've got to practice tackling to be good at tackling. It's no different, guys. Rodman was never going to be the biggest guy on the court, but he rebounded people because of effort, and he hustled. The tackling's 10% technique, 90% hustle. You've got to want to tackle. And I watched it, number 13 whip on a quarterback when he had an open shot on him against South Carolina, didn't take it. I'm sorry, that ain't gonna fly with me.
Yeah.
No, if I was out there, you're gonna talk crap, not come off the field, and then all of a sudden you got an open shot on the quarterback when he's trying to gain a first down, and you basically just don't even try to make an effort to hit him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm talking about. The effort comes into play. If you want to be a good tackler, you will be. But I am concerned about the defense. Maybe, and look, I don't think the defense played too terribly bad. But when the defense played bad, then the offense wasn't there to pick them up, so it looked worse on both sides. So they wouldn't get it going this weekend.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
All right, y'all be good.
All right, back up to the Yellowwood Hotline. What's up, Philip?
Hey, great Whip is exactly right about Army and Navy. The interesting thing about those two schools is they are both undefeated. Their remaining schedule's pretty favorable. Of course, they finished the year playing each other, but each of those teams also plays Notre Dame coming up. Army's got Notre Dame in 2 weeks. Later on in the schedule, Navy's got Notre Dame in 2 weeks. So Whip's exactly right on that. I think the committee, would love if they can finish strong. I think one of those two teams could very well be in the top 12.
Yeah, Army, and obviously the winner of that conference, they have to win that conference. But whoever the highest team outside of the four main deals will make it in there, and they'll have to play the 5 seed, which would be nice. So it'd be if Alabama were a 5 seed or whoever, they'd have Army or Navy coming in. That'd be a pretty neat game. I hope it happens. I don't know what happened to Philip there. I hope it happens, Philip. Call us back, Philip. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, we'll take this break. I think we're behind on a break, aren't we? Chase? So we're behind one break. I will take this break and get back. And I also have some the Nick Sheridan press conference. We can hear a little bit from Coach Sheridan as well. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Looking at that fender bender on McFarland eastbound at Fayette Highway. You got the left lane down, and the construction on 2059 eastbound between Joe Malisham and McFarland definitely creating a ruckus during your rush to work for this Tuesday morning. And we're also looking at more road markets.
Discover the advantages of real personalized service today with Health Markets. Health Markets Insurance Agency Inc. is licensed as an insurance agency nationwide except in Massachusetts. Paid actor per trail.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assist.
Northport, just before Carroll's Creek Baptist Church. Sponsored by Edmondson Deer Processing, Tuscaloosa Tractor, Urbans, Paul's Feed and Seed, and Anders Hardware.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful fall day today. The sky's sunny, the high 69. Clear, very cool tonight, the low 41. Or tomorrow, sunny with a high at 62. And Thursday, a sunny day. We'll probably have some frost early Thursday morning. The high Thursday afternoon, 67. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 48 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Follow the Crimson Tide on their journey to another national championship. Touchdown, Alabama! On your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Come back to Inside the Locker. I think, watching college football now, and I don't have the stats here in front of me. Somebody research it. Maybe Philip. I'll get him back on just a second. But that clock never stops. Now, when those guys go out of bounds, not under 2 minutes, the clock continues to run. So I don't think people may be running as many plays as they have in the past. And these commercials are so long it's like you come back, you have a couple plays, they punt, boom, they go back to commercial. It's watching these football games is kind of frustrating to me. It's just so many commercials, and the clock never stops anymore. These quarters are over fast. It makes these games are going a lot faster, but what makes them long is all the commercial breaks that you have. Now, I guess you got to play all these players, so now we got to have more commercials.
I guess that's true. I think it's I think you have the 2 minute. They go on to the pro set by having a 2 minute timeout, regardless, which is makes it a little bit better. But I don't know if that makes it better or worse. But that's what they do, and the commercials have to be made in order to make the money. So I don't really know. You throwing the football a lot, stops the clock some. And incomplete passes, so I don't know. Yeah,
these guys run out of bounds, but the clock keeps running. All right, hey, Philip, I'm sorry, I got you had you cut off there. My fault. You with us?
No, that's okay. We were just talking about Army and Navy and everything.
Yeah.
But a couple other things that I'd like to mention to you is that I'm really struck by how comfortable Coach Oates has become now in the last year and a half. He's much more. He's just much more free-sounding. He gives better interviews. He speaks up better. He's a little more interesting. He just seems totally comfortable. He's got it made over there at Alabama.
Yeah, they're pretty much giving him everything he needs. They're recruiting at such a high level. He looks at that team every day and knows he's going to win a lot of games. I think he's very comfortable with his coaching staff. He hired Panone's really, really good. I mean, he eats, sleeps basketball. He hired the new guy who's going to run his defense there. So I think he's very comfortable with the staff. He's got the backing of the athletic director, which is always nice. He's got a $54 million practice facility coming up. He knows how much football is helping him in recruiting at these games. And actually, he's outperforming football right now. So life's pretty good if you're Nate Oates right now.
Yeah, he really is. He's in a really good spot, and I think he knows it. And man, he seems comfortable. Just seems like a different guy. And I'm just want to point that out. But my upset watch this week is Georgia Tech beating Notre Dame, and I like Alabama to beat Tennessee 38-31.
There you go. Thank you, Philip.
See y'all.
Thank you.
All right. So, when your team, I guess, was going to be really, really good and you knew it, and I'm talking in basketball, not really in any sport, you just feel a little more comfortable there. You always worry, obviously, but I think and they've scheduled pretty hard. They got some home games early, get a little rhythm, and kind of figure out who to play. But, I think he's kind of adjusted to the job here. They recruited so well, and he's got to hire kind of whoever he wants. So everything's positive over there right now as far as Alabama basketball, correct?
Oh, sure. They're going to have a great team and got great players, and they do a good job with them. And I think football recruiting is not football recruiting, but recruiting around football games is very, very good. Makes people from out of state be very really interested in you. I stayed pretty much home in Birmingham getting my players, but you can go out of state and get them, and they're not quite as many in Birmingham as there were probably when I was coaching. So they're doing a good job, and they're going to have a shot to win it all. From what I gather, I haven't seen them, but you have, and said they're good. So they have a shot to win it all, and if you get a good draw, you got to get good draws, and they have athletic directors on the committee for the draws, and that helps some. And he's put on another athletic director on there from Samford, so they've got two, and that's good.
And also Preston Murphy, the couple of years he was out, he did a great job of building relationships with guys through the AAU, and he's done a great job in recruiting. So they haven't skipped a beat with the new staff that's here. Matter of fact, it's probably gotten better. All right, we'll take this last break and wrap up the show. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Looking at that fender bender on McFarland eastbound at Fayette Highway. You got the left lane down, and the construction on 2059 eastbound between Joe Malisham and McFarland definitely creating a ruckus during your rush to work for this Tuesday morning. And we're also looking at more
so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful fall day today. The sky's sunny, the high 69. Clear, very cool tonight, below 41. For tomorrow, sunny with a high at 62. And Thursday, a sunny day. We'll probably have some frost early Thursday morning. The high Thursday afternoon at 67. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 48 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion, Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker. Fun show today. A lot of calls. I enjoyed having Kevin Skarbinski on. He was on his way to Mountain Brook for the SEC Media Days. All 16 men coaches and the players. I'm not sure. I'm sure Mark Sears. I don't know. Gary, do you know who the other player is with him today? Maybe Grant Nelson. But I know Mark Sears will be with them. But I think you can actually watch it on the SEC Network. I think Coach Oates goes sometime in the 2 o'clock hour, they said. But, big deal for Alabama and Auburn to be picked 1 and 2 by the media in basketball. You don't see that much. So maybe we're a basketball state this year. But Alabama should have a great season in basketball. They just got to keep them all healthy. They work them so hard. That's my only thing. Not that you don't want to work hard. It just seems like they always have guys injured. So hopefully they can stay healthy. They got so much depth that it really won't matter this year. So we'll see as this thing unfolds. But that's it for today's show. I'm going to get out of here and make way for the Gary Harris Show. Appreciate you, Chase, taking great care of us this morning. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports. Get outside and enjoy this weather. Have a great day, everybody.